Can I get a whoop whoop? I'm Lacey Green, and I'm a super trainer at Body. That's BODI.com. And you know what's missing from the entire fitness industry? A program for beginners only. Not anymore. I've created a program called For Beginners Only, and it is for everybody and everybody. It's a 3-week program only on Body, the world's first health esteem platform. That means it's a place for you to work on loving who you are right now as you work on who you are becoming. I'll ease you into exercise with low-impact cardio, strength, core, and mobility workouts that will help you feel great as soon as you get started. I'll help you build your foundation and show you how simple it can be to make a change just by showing up. It's for beginners only because I want you to know you can do it, and I want you to get results. Let's find the joy and drop the judgment. And woo woo! Now you can try For Beginners Only with your free trial of Body. So there's no reason not to get started. Go to body.com today. That's body with an I.com.
Hello and welcome to this latest episode of Chasing Creativity. I'm Kiran Manral, your host for the day. Today, my guest is the dynamic Elahe Hiptoola, who is a producer of award-winning movies like Iqbal, Dor, Thanak amongst others, and series like Modern Love, Hyderabad. Welcome to Chasing Creativity, Elahe.
Thank you so much, Kiran. It's wonderful to be with you. Aamne samne baith ke baataan karna, because we haven't done that for so long.
Years and years.
Yes.
I'm going to get right to the questions, Elahe. You've done so many wonderful things in your career. You started the first ever fashion boutique in Hyderabad. You went on to producing movies. Was there always this creative bent in you? Did you always want to do something in the field of arts when you were growing up? How did it all happen?
So I think so. See, arts were not very defined when we were children, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I mean, I could never paint or draw and stuff. That was what considered art or artistry or whatever, the artistic bent. But in school, I was very outgoing. So, then plays became a natural extension of wanting to, be a part of all these extracurricular activities, as they're called. So I used to be in drama and theatre, but never wanted to make a career out of it. I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, a lawyer.
Ever since I can remember, I wanted to be a lawyer. I had read this pretty nasty book when I was, growing up, called The Rage of Angels.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, it really can't be a book that needs to be called as a turning point in your life. But I was so completely floored by the character. So I would call myself the Jennifer Parker. I mean, I just wanted to be Jennifer Parker, who was the lead, who was a lawyer in that book. And, I actually recently found a book that someone had given me as a birthday gift saying, "To our Jennifer Parker." So, I mean, everybody around me knew that kuch ho na ho law to main karne wali hu. So, right after school, when everybody started applying for their, school, what I mean is by degree, people would take their TOEFL and their GRE and GMAT and all. I was like, मैं बाहर जाके करूँगी क्या? मेरे को law करना है. So I came and did my law in Government Law College, Bombay. And I think in third year, when we had something called the moot court, where we had to go to court as, lawyers and stuff like that. And there somebody pinched my bottom.
Oh, Lord.
When I was in a black gown and all.
Mm-hmm.
I was kya hai ye? I mean, imagine you're supposed to be a lawyer. But anyway, very soon I realized while I was doing my law that you had to, move on or jump on to a moving wagon. So if my father was a lawyer or if there was a law practice in the family, I could do it. Otherwise, it took so long to establish yourself.
Okay.
And I was a bit of a wanting things in a hurry, like this to call me delusional, but my delusion always was that I'm walking down the street and I can hear Elahe, Elahe, Elahe happening all the time. Ab wo law mein to nahi hone wala tha. It was like,
they were pinching bottoms.
Yeah, nobody's going to yell Elahe, Elahe in a good way. So then I decided ki ye nahi hota. And while I was studying law, I started working with Abu Sandeep in Bombay. Okay. And then I've got into fashion. And Hyderabad, and I was going to go back to Hyderabad to get married. And Hyderabad, there was nothing like that. And I got completely involved in the whole fashion thing. So then I set up Elahe. And that's how the fashion journey began from that point.
And from fashion, you moved to films.
I know, it sounds quite checkered and quite like I don't know what my mind is. But yeah.
No, but it shows that you're so open to taking risks, to doing something new and not saying that this is what my path is and I'm going to stick to this. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's a risk not many people take. Like, law was what you wanted to do. You went into fashion and then you went into film. So this risk taking, Do you think that's part of what you need to be creative? I mean, I'm going off the thing right away, off my topic.
True.
But
No, I see in hindsight, it sounds, everything can be made sense of. It makes sense and say, yeah, it could be probably the risk-taking capacity. But it wasn't a risk. If I probably knew it was a risk, I probably wouldn't take it.
Okay.
It was just, I know for a fact, and I've known this all my life, that I have a one-point agenda is to have a good time.
Okay.
If I'm not having a good time, I'm not doing it. So, when the store was doing very well, and there was nobody around which had a multi-designer store in Hyderabad. There was only Folio in Bangalore, there was Ensemble in Bombay, and there was me in Hyderabad. And it was a great time because fashion designers were just coming out. So I launched Anamika Khanna in Hyderabad. I launched Aki Narula, which have gone on to be world famous names, right? But they were all working out of their homes and garages, and we all were trying to see how we could break into the Indian market. It was a great time to be in fashion. And then I actually got divorced. So that whole store was set up with my ex-husband and stuff. So it was like, was dil khatta ho gaya and all that. Those things were going on at that time in my life. And Nagesh came down to make Hyderabad Blues. And he actually approached me as an actor first. How? Okay. Because we all are part of this dramatic circle, Hyderabad and stuff like that. And I thought, chalo, good fun it'll be. So I have always approached any major change in my life as, at that point, it'll be good fun to see where it goes. Mm-hmm. It was never like, this is what I, like, when I talk to people like Nagesh and all who say like, I really only wanted to be a director but I became an engineer by mistake. Nothing was a mistake for me. I just did whatever I did at that time. I did it fully passionately, and it's like, meko ye hi karna hai. And felt a little foolish also when I changed my mind almost 6 years later saying, acha, mereko ye hi karna hai. Everything was, this is all what I wanted to do. So the only credit I can take was I didn't say no to opportunity, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It does.
I didn't, since I didn't have a completely focused approach where it was blindsided or it was literally with blinkers on. Everything in the 180 degrees vision seemed to be my field of interest. So that is what I did. And the risk-taking part, I don't know whether I can really take credit for that. It turned out well, so it looks like it was a risk worth taking. But
no, it was definitely a risk worth taking. It turned out well, very well indeed.
Mashallah.
So this actress, and you came on as an actress, then you got into production and producing movies. How did that shift happen? That is like completely a different skill set to have.
Yeah. So I joined as an actress, and like I said, this is full credit to Nagesh because he was so daft at that point because he was coming to make this movie called Hyderabad Blues, where he put in his own money. I mean, every bit of his savings, I know for a fact, was in that film because he wanted to see if he could make a film. And he came down from the US to India to do all this. And he cast me as an actor. And while we were doing rehearsals at his house in different rooms, so I would tell the person who was acting with me, I said, see, you say it like that, then I'll say it like this. And then let's see how this goes, kind of thing. So he kind of saw that for a couple of days. And then 3 days before the shoot was to begin, he said, will you assistant direct with me? Because please remember, he was writer, director, producer, and lead actor.
Oh,
and he did not have an assistant, which we didn't know at that point until he offered it to me. And then he said, will you assistant direct with me? And like I always say, Hyderabadi mein kuch ho na ho, confidence ki kami nahi rehti. So I had never been to a film set in my life.
Oh Lord.
But I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, how difficult can it be to assist, kind of thing. Ab assist hai na, bhai karo nahi bol rahe tum. I have to assist you. So I said yes to assistant direct. And Hyderabad Blues was made on such a shoestring budget that we did not even have a monitor for the shoot that we were seeing. So I had to stand next to the camera and look at the scene while Nagesh was in the scene. Then he would finish and he would look at me and say, yeah, good. And I'm like, yeah, good. I didn't know what I was watching for. I was like, what is bad? Meko samajh mein nahi aa raha, main kisko dekhu? And then I used to go home and pray namaz and say, Allah, meko maaf kar de. Please, ye picture achhi nikal jane do. Because everything for him, I would go back to my store and sell clothes, bhai. But he had put every bit of his in this film. So, I think kudos to him for giving that kind of trust or reaching out and helping you do. But I'm telling you, day 2 on set, and I knew I didn't want to do anything else. And I hope I don't ever have to, because I genuinely love production. And देखो भाई, ये तो काबिले तारीफ है मेरे साथ कि I have stuck to this for 25 years.
Absolutely.
बाकी सब 5-5, 6-6 साल में मेरा फिर गया था. But this is like 25 years or more I've stuck to film producing.
And you've brought out so many wonderful films.
Lovely films you took.
Lovely films, and each film is so different from the other.
Yeah.
How do you decide that this is the film that we want to make? I mean, you must get a multitude of scripts and you must be getting multitudes of ideas, but to zero in on one project.
Yes. So, and even Nagesh is very prolific in that way. So he writes many scripts. So we decided to be a director-producer team, and we produce I produce what he directs, and then normally he writes his own stuff. And yes, we do sometimes have stuff ki ye banana next ya wo banana next. But sometimes and one thing that I follow for a rule is I want to make a film that I can watch. The kind of films we choose, I'm very clear that I would want to make a film that I can watch, right? It's not about watching at home, but you want to put your name to something that you are proud of.
Absolutely.
And it's not always about only pandering to what the audience wants or what the trend is at that time. I'm sure it could make a lot more money. Even casting would make so much more sense if you took A-list people in the industry and stuff. But if they're not correct for the role, then we'd rather not work with them. And very often we've been known as the star-proof filmmakers of India.
The star-proof.
Yeah, the star-proof ones that, we don't need stars to make our films work. So that was wonderful to, start that. But all in all, I think all my films have happy endings. And like I always say, if you can't control that in real life, what you can control, then you may as well make it happy. There's no point in being, holding a mirror to society and then saying this is what happens in real life. वो होता है भाई, मगर end में उसको happy कर दो आप. So even though we did a film like Lakshmi, which was the true story of a child prostitute, the end was happy. That's why it was easier to follow that thread and not leave it open, because it is really overwhelming living in this world. Then again, if you narrow it down, living in this country where you don't know where to begin and where to stop. So like if you say like, okay, I'm the privileged 1% of this country, I can afford to give money to every beggar that passes by my car. You don't know where to stop. If you tell yourself, okay, yaar, I spend 1,200 rupees on a meal, which I want to, because I feel like eating Chinese today. And when your mate comes and asks you for a raise in her salary of about 2,000 rupees, you're like, absolutely not. But then you don't know where to stop, because yes, you are earning the money, but so it's very, very overwhelming. Then when you come to open-ended films on top of that, it can be bizarre. It's not entertainment. It's not, I don't mind thinking about something. That's always a byproduct, which if someone thinks from a film that we've made, great. I don't go out to preach, but if you can take something away from it, that's added bonus. But I don't want to make films that are, targeting you to think and to make a choice and to be aware. That really is not my job, I think, as a filmmaker.
And also, I think you give hope with your films.
Absolutely. I hope that is correct, because I really want to give hope, because without that, there is no life. ये क्या बेमतलब की जिंदगी है कि, you come in and then you're mired by more problems. Not only your problem, now that person in the film, उसके problems भी. कितने लेके जाएंगे भाई घर को? नहीं होता. It's very difficult, Malu. So, and I don't mean escapism in a way like Manmohan Desai is doing Amar Akbar Anthony with 3 bloods flowing through a tube, which is great. You do.
There's space for that.
There is space for that. Willing suspension of disbelief is fine.
Absolutely.
But leaving your brain at home is not fine. Because why would I leave a vital organ of mine at home, bhai? I mean, it's like saying, please come to my house for dinner, but don't bring your kidneys with you. I come as a whole. So, brainless things I don't care for too much. So, like if someone's jumping off the 8th floor in our film, he'll at least land on a truck that's passing by with bales of hay. I do understand the leap of faith or the leap in imagination. But senselessness is not something I vouch for or I go for in the name of art.
And you also have very strong female characters.
Yes.
In all that you do, I've noticed there's this constant thread of agency, choice, and taking responsibility for their own lives.
Always. Which is absolutely the truth. That is the mirror I'm holding up. That are not fake characters. These are not characters who we have given lines in the mouth or dialogues in the mouth that would sound like, oh my God, she's cool. Those are absolutely real life women. Even if they come from a figment of the writer's imagination, or even it's not something that you cannot believe. Therefore, that is the mirror I'm proudly holding of society in the film, is women are strong, women have agency, women can make up their minds about their own lives and take credit or discredit for it. It's their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely necessary. And I'm so glad you're doing it. We really need it, and given the way some of our movies are, where women are just like
Yeah,
addendums to the entire
absolutely.
scripts.
Like even if you see Door, and if you see both the women, they were both strong.
Absolutely,
But we
yeah.
turned them on their head. So the Muslim woman was the one who was educated. She was the one without her head covered. She was the one who traveled all the way from Himachal to Rajasthan to save her husband's life. While the Hindu widow was in the Anchal and the Ghungat, she was the one who was, under the supervision of her entire family. So these things, we are just so typecast, or so we make such caricatures of people कि मुसलमान है तो हिजाब में रहेंगी, या हिंदू है तो सती पे चढ़ेंगी. It's not that at all, right? It's to
Different.
each his own.com. I mean, we make our own worlds, we draw our own boundaries in relationships, in life, and so I'm happy to keep doing
was
this
it.
little turn around here there.
The tweakings, yes.
Yeah.
Door was a wonderful movie, and what a fabulous performance you all managed to get out of Kul and
Absolutely.
I forget
Aisha
her name.
Takya.
Aisha Takya.
Aisha Takya was a revelation. So what happens is when you play a strong character, they become unidimensional. Strength is just being hard. Strength is just being really, really focused. No, my mother was one of the strongest characters I knew, or people I knew. She was the sweetest thing since sugar. Matlab, her strength was so quiet. Her resilience was just so covered with, being gentle. Strength is not the negligence of anything else. That's hard, that's brittle, that breaks. Strength is when you can, bend, sway, and still get upright when there is demand for it to be. So that. But Aisha was pitch perfect.
She gave a very nuanced performance, I remember.
I mean, every sentence, like Nagesh, he was directing, we'd watch and he'd say, Aisha, ek paisa upar, Aisha, ek paisa niche. And she would go by that 1 paisa, 2 paisa. I mean, she was just outstanding in that film. Before that, we'd seen her in Tarzan, the Wonder Girl and all that, bhai. And then to take her and make her this vulnerable child widow almost, which was like in her late teens and stuff like that. And to give that performance, she was pitch perfect. Mashallah.
That brings me to something. When you as a director have a vision of a character, of the story, and you get... How difficult or easy is it to work when the performer does not get your vision? How do you get them on board? What do you need to do? Because, there's so much riding on a movie and your own vision of it.
So that is mainly Nagesh's department, and we feel sorry for him at times, and we can only bichara, but eventually that's the cap he's wearing. But there's always teamwork. There's sometimes, like, I remember we were making a film where the lead character, that film didn't release, but the lead character was extremely nervous of Nagesh. Like, Nagesh would talk to him and he would like kind of get this thing. So I would handle him. So Nagesh would say, just tell him this. So I would take him and I said, Kuno, ye karo. So there were times when everybody would chip in to handle people and get the performance out of him. But with Dhanak, with those 2 kids, I would sometimes repeat line after line on the walkie. I'd say, Acha, aisa bolo, then I'd give that line, then he would repeat the line, then I would give the line, then he would repeat the line. So, there are different things that goes into getting a performance, and all of us will do anything to get that performance. And Nagesh does not compromise as long as the actor's performance is perfect. He's okay if the sun is setting, if the colors don't match, if this is there, and if you see all throughout his movies, the actor performances, including people like us in Hyderabad Blues, have walked away taking accolades of best actor for this, best actor Butta. And we had never faced the camera before that. It was only Nagesh who, and all his actors are completely honest. They feel like they're not spouting lines, but they're saying what they feel and what they think. And that is his.
So when the national award happened, how did that feel?
So it happened twice. It happened for
twice.
Iqbal.
Yeah.
But we were too busy making Bombay to Bangkok at that time.
Okay.
Then it happened, we didn't even go.
Oh.
And it happened for Dhanak because we were in Bangkok. And then it happened for Dhanak. And I was just so thrilled. And I so wish they could have let my little children come for that. But Dhanak by then had won, I think, 18 awards, including Berlin.
Okay.
Yeah, it had won the Crystal Bear for Berlin and stuff like that. So it was, it was on the path of awards. And it was fabulous to just say, oh, we got the national award. And then we were in the Vigyan Bhavan and, and there's our president standing over there. And we had to sing the national anthem. And I'm weeping copiously. And Nagesh is looking at me saying, this is the 18th award. I said, but we never won an Indian award with our president and singing the national award, singing the national anthem. It was just surreal. Surreal to be, you know, I mean, कितना भी बोलो भाई लोगा, it's bought and it's this and it's political, जो भी होने दो, to stand with the president of our country and to be able to sing the national anthem. I mean, I still get goosebumps with it. It's just something else.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was.
May there be many more.
Inshallah.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you something about something you said. I read a very interesting quote that you said. Ultimately, it is like organizing a barat every day. No one will tell you that the food is good, but someone will always complain about namak kam tha. Is that what producing is?
Every day. Every single day. मतलब कभी कोई आके तारीफ नहीं करेंगे कि अरे थैंक यू मैम, इट वाज रियली वंडरफुल. नहीं, मेरे बाथरूम का लैच टूट गया, मेरा एसी नहीं चल रहा, मेरे कमरे में बाथरूम में टूथपेस्ट नहीं है, तो मैं क्या करूँ? मैं फिक्स करने वाली हूँ एसी. कॉल द रिसेप्शन. बट यू लाइक, ऑफ कोर्स आई जस्ट लुक इनटू इट. रियली देयर इज नो टूथब्रश? वेयर इज द टूथब्रश? इन मैम्स रूम. सो यू नो दैट काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग. सो यू हैव, बट इट्स लाइक रियली लाइक ऑर्गेनाइजिंग अ बारात. फ्रॉम व्हेन द कार्स हैव लेफ्ट टू खाना निकला के नहीं आ रहे, पापड़ कम है, इट्स ओनली द नुक्स विल बी टेकन आउट. Always. I mean, I have had, you know, an actress coming and telling me once that every day same white ambassador comes to pick me up. I said, I'm so sorry. Shall I send the green one tomorrow? So she started laughing, of course. But क्या बोलना भैया, white ambassadors है production की गाड़ियाँ, वही जाएंगे ना, अब और क्या लेके दूँ? Then once I remember, and then we had our darling one actor who's the best actor in the country, but he can get very short-tempered on sets. We won't take the name, but everybody would know who it is. And he would say, and he's just getting in a bad mood. I'm like, एक मिनट, आप टैंट्रम थ्रो करना चाह रहे, जल्दी 2 प्लेट्स लाओ भाई, सर टैंट्रम फेंकना चाह रहे. And you'd laugh and say, मैं तेरे को मारूंगा. Like, just change it into something happy. Like, कई कुछ थ्रो कर रहे हैं टैंट्रम्स. एंड में आपको कैमरा पे आके करना ही है ना सीन. इट्स लाइक, यू नो, मैं जा रहा हूँ घर पे, चाहिए कल आपको ही वापस आने का है. इट्स नॉट अ बिग डील ऑफ, यू नो, मेकिंग एन एस ऑफ योर सेल्फ. बट एक्टर्स आर ऑल काइंड्स, यू नो. बट आई हैव टू से, यू नो, किरण, people look at actors as commodities and say, like, you know, your job is to come, sit in the vanity, read your scripts, come and perform. That's what we're paying you for. It's not easy. I feel the most empathy for my actors. Imagine you are coming to a whole new unit every 3 months. The unit has been working together for many months and years, probably. Like when we launch a film, it's the same director, same cinematographer, same team, art ki team aa jati, spot boy jata. We all are like, arey, having great fun because that's our family. An actor comes. Uno bichare pehle din pe hai. Then he's getting ready, coming on set, and he's literally disrobing himself emotionally in front of 100 people who are just standing, holding light stands, cutter stands, monitor, checking his costume. And at the end of the take, the director saying, one more. Can you imagine?
It's very vulnerable.
It is, matlab, literally वो actor नंगा हो रहा वहाँ पे. And it's all about this one person saying, no, can we have one more? And you know, lightman खुजाले के बोला, क्या अब आप जल्दी करना. I mean, 60 take ले लिया actor. It's really not easy, no, for them.
While talking about producing also, you said that it is the most gender neutral job possible. What made you say that?
Did I say that?
Yeah, in some interview somewhere I read.
Oh, well, it should be, but nothing in India is gender neutral or in the world.
Or unless they've misquoted you.
They might have. I would never say something like that because I have stories to prove that gender was such an important part of production where it was not neutral. You know, no. I could never have said that. I have faced it on my own set as a producer. After having known that I'm the producer, Nagesh the director, people would go directly to him only and ask him questions. And he would look completely flummoxed and say, I don't know, ask ma'am. So then we started doing this thing like we'd hire an AD, girl or boy, and tell them that your job is that on the 7th or the 8th day, I will fire you publicly.
Oh, lovely.
And you will not come on set again.
So they were warned of being fired.
Yeah. The job was to come for 7 days and then be fired. So then everybody else knew who wore the pants on set.
Okay. So then it was your job to
It was my job to fire them loudly.
Publicly
and say, bilkul nahi, how dare you do... I mean, this is really unacceptable. I'm telling you now, I don't want to see you on my set from tomorrow. And then that person would disappear from the set from tomorrow. So everybody would know that I can hire, I can fire.
And they would behave.
Hopefully. But yeah, that was the hope.
Tell me about this multicultural space that you started in Hyderabad. Am I saying it right? Lamakan?
Lamakan.
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 Lamakan. What is it all about?
So La Makan is a Persian word that means without boundaries. La Makan. As in La ilaha, as in there is no God. There is La Makan, there is no Makan, which means the universe.
Oh, lovely.
So there are no boundaries. So that is what it means. It's an open cultural space. My a friend of mine who's like a brother to me, Farhan, inherited this space, now 13 years back. And, it belonged to his uncle. And I was always thinking of opening, I wanted this old house in which I would start something called the C Club, where everything would happen. So cinema, caroms, cartoons, comics, chai. So it was just this one fantasy. It's when this house came to Farhani saying, chalo, we do this. And Lamakan is a name we inherited from our uncle who owned this house. His house was always called Lamakan. So we formed a trust, and it's a space that is completely democratic. Of course, a little leaning to the left, but completely democratic. And we don't charge people to watch anything. We don't charge people to perform. It's completely free. We have a self-sustaining canteen where you can get a great Hyderabadi meal in 100 rupees. And the menu boasts of things like khichdi, keema, khatti dal.
I must visit.
You have to. The samosas are world famous, mentioned in New York Times.
Oh, lovely.
The chai and samosas are just as up. Absolutely amazing. And it's a space where we don't care how long you sit. It's not like you have to eat to sit, you have to do something to sit. And I'm known as the Hyderabad ki jhadu. I know everybody in Hyderabad. Until I enter Lamakan, I'm like, kaun hai ye loga? Who are these people? I don't know any of them over here. So, and we were very, very careful, and we made sure that we were not the face of Lamakan.
Okay.
Because we didn't want it to be a place to be seen at, or, a hip thing to do. It had to be in a place, when we say democratic, we mean all stratas of life and society, where nobody feels like, there's any kind of inhibition, or there's any kind of pressure to come into a place and, with the kind of clothes you're wearing. It shouldn't be intimidating at any level. That's why we had to keep our prices low. We had to keep it open and stuff like that. And we've had some great people who've come, and it's the most proud thing I am of creating. I am most proud of that space.
Are you planning on replicating it in other cities? We need such spaces. There is no space for culture to thrive. And while we have had the recent inauguration in Bombay of a cultural space in PKC, but that is going to be of a certain strata.
Correct.
Right? It's not going to be open to everyone and accessible to everyone. But something like this sounds wonderful. Do you think?
So a lot of people, because Lamakan is so thriving and it's so vibrant and it's so happening, that a lot of people have come, especially when they come to Lamakan, they get completely like, I remember this one, Sanjana Kapoor, and I'm only taking names of celebrities because that would have the more far-reaching, unfortunately, to listeners and to audiences and stuff like that. And she was like, we have to replicate this. And everyone would say, is this Rang Sharada? Is it Prithvi Theatre? And we would say, no, these are like our drawing rooms. In Hyderabad, when anybody came, they would come home. चाय चूल्हे पर रहती थी, समोसे आते थे, पान आता था, बैठ के हम लोग बातें कर रहे, महफिलें जम रही. If it was from Qawwali singers to authors to actors, they've all come home. We don't believe in taking them out to restaurants and, so it's always a ghar pe mahfil rehti, that kind of a thing. And so we've just replicated our drawing rooms as Lamakan. And then they would say, what does it take to open a Lamakan in another city? And I've always said, jigar. Because we inherited this house in Banjara Hills, which is like the Nepean Sea Road of Hyderabad, and we gave it back to society. And we said, this is yours, do what you will with it. आपको सिर्फ जिगर की ज़रूरत है. बहुत मकाना है बॉम्बे में, खोल दो किसी को, ले लो, जस्ट से ले लो मेरा घर, आ जाओ यहाँ पे. And that I don't see it happening, right? It's always a business plan. It's always we have survived 13 years only on donations, only on our canteen, which pays our staff salary.
Tell me about Modern Love Stories, Hyderabad.
Did you watch it?
A little bit of it, not completely. But how did you all put it together? How did you decide what stories go in? Because, there were precedents, there were other things happening. And to get your own individual stamp on this.
Yeah. So, precedents was only the Modern Love New York that had happened, right?
Yeah.
The India one had not happened
by then.
So, what I think Amazon decided to do was buy all the articles from New York Times and then make Modern Love World. And in India, it took 3 cities, Bombay for Hindi, Hyderabad for Telugu, and Madras, Chennai for Tamil. And then Aparna from Amazon called me and said, we want you to produce this. And I'm like, no, I don't speak Telugu. And it's not just about knowing the language, it's knowing the ethos, knowing the whole, grammar of the language. So I said, I don't speak Telugu. And I only work with Nagesh. We want him to show, run and direct also. So we said, okay. So we went through 1,500 articles or more and then selected 25, out of which some Japan had taken, someone else had taken. So we had to narrow down the thing. But obviously, what was the key part in recognizing the stories that would fit in India, in Hyderabad, because Hyderabad played a vital role and there's no one more Hyderabadi than me. I mean, I'm quintessentially Hyderabadi. So that is my pehchan. Is if agar aap they say, hi Elahe, can you tell us one thing about yourself in one word? And I'd say Hyderabadi. I don't want to be known as anything else. So, Indian film producer, Lamakan, वो पूरा बाद में, पहले हैदराबादी, उसके बाद बाकी चीज़ें आ सकते हैं. So then that was very exciting because, what would fit in the milieu of Hyderabad? What would showcase Hyderabad as a character in the 6 stories? So वो था. अब हैदराबाद में एक चीज़ है कि old Hyderabad है और new Hyderabad है, both as vibrant as the other. It's not like old cities of Delhi which are relegated to one kind of community or one kind of food. नहीं, ये हर जगह ऐसे लोग हैं. So it's a very, very vibrant city. Plus it's Hyderabad and Sikandrabad. So we have twin cities. So, stuff like that. So we chose stories that could fit to Hyderabad. So we couldn't take the war veteran stories. We couldn't take any stories which had local trains in them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. New York ke jo stories the. There were some that could immediately fall by the wayside because they weren't applicable to Hyderabad. So there was no force fit as such. But it was very clear that we had to show the new part of Hyderabad also. So for that, then we, got 3 other directors who came on board. So in Modern Love, so then we chose those 6 stories. But one that I'm most proud of, and I had a lot to offer in terms of, the way Nagesh wrote the story and stuff like that, was the mother-daughter story, My Pandemic Partner, with the relationship between the mother and daughter, they kind of fix during the pandemic. And a lot of my experiences, how we would handle stuff, I was there in every, way. The way the house was done up, to where the clothes that they wore, to everything, was a lot of me in that story. So that is one I'm very, very proud of.
Lovely. You've worked so extensively with creative people. You're a creative person yourself. Do you think that creativity is something inborn, or is it a muscle that can be built and worked on, exercised? How do you think creative people happen?
Yeah, good question. I think it is just awareness. I mean, I'm sure they have all these genes in their body and some kind of light up a little more. Some light up early, some light up later. But I don't think there's anyone who's not creative. Because even when a child is bunking school and coming up with excuses, that's creative. Right? If he goes on and writes more stories and he becomes a script writer, and if he can, put that story in front of the screen, he becomes a director. So I don't think creativity lacks in anyone. But one thing I have to say, that when you have decided that you're creative and you've become a creative person, that's not the end of the journey. Absolutely. You have to keep honing your skill. This thing of, ab to main director ban gaya, to 2 pictures bana li, to aur 100 bana lunga. You have to constantly keep yourself updated with your own creativity. It is hard work. It is not something, I'm creative, therefore I can. I mean, if you take an artist, M.F. Hussain, he painted those many canvases, right? You take a director, they constantly come on set and they do the short breakdowns. And those who don't will never, ever, ever be successful. If you have less genes, you can hone it to be a great director. You can be born with a lot of genes, and if you don't hone it, you'll be an average director. So hard work is as much a role to play as your genetic composition or the inbuilt creativity that you were born with.
Many people take their genes for granted and don't work on it.
Yeah.
And then you have the one film wonders, the one book wonders, who never produce anything of value after that first great thing.
Yeah, you can't be lazy. I mean, like you being a writer, you would write every day. Not that you write good stuff every day, but you write every day. And it's hard work, bhai. It's discipline, it's hard work. 3 hours, it's a lot. ऐसा 3 घंटे ऐसा बोल देते लोग. It's like, I wake up in the morning and write for 3 hours. Write one composition. I write one email, I take 3 minutes to say, we would be highly obliged. No, that sounds really bad. We would like to, nako bhai, like to kaiku. We would be happy to, wohi likhte मेरा दिमाग खराब हो रहा. How people write books. I mean, it's hard work. कुछ भी बोलो आप. So hard work, I think I would give more importance to, or more, a more bigger role to play in creativity than creativity itself.
Hard work, definitely. The talent may be there, but you believe that you need to work on it and hone it. And what do you do if you're burnt out? Sometimes you're constantly doing something. You're constantly filling your mind. Do you feel that need for empty space stillness, vacantness?
Yeah, every day.
How do you
was totally burnt out when I was making City of Dreams season 1. Burnt out. But I didn't even see the signs. Because I was like, anyway, see, I'm hyper. So instead of Elahe Hiptoola, a lot of people call me Elahe Hypertoola. Because I'm very hyper. It's like everything has to be this. And I was doing COD1 and it came right after something. And we'd never done series before. Or 10 episodes ka math you're keeping in your head correctly. I mean, director to kar hi raha hai bichara ke, in the same location you're doing scene. This scene is from episode 1, this scene is from episode 6, magar episode 5 mein uska miyan mar gaya, so whole body language changed. Anyway, all this was going on, right? Plus, such a long shoot. We never shot for like 40-50 days ever in our life for any feature film. And I was burnt out, and I did not have any idea that I was burnt out. I would constantly get emotional. I mean, stuff like Kiran, I'm telling you, I'd walk in the morning on the set and I'd see a lightman carrying a light and I'm like, itni mehnat kar raha hu, light utha. So that poor gaffer would go, ma'am, ab baith jao, ma'am, wo roz light uthata hai. Then I would say, आज 9 o'clock breakfast shift है, हाँ, तो they'd say no breakfast, straight lunch. And I'm like, वो घर से 4 बजे निकला है, उसको खाना तो खिलाओ. So the EP was like, ma'am, आप घर जाओ, मैं देख लेता हूँ. So suddenly they were all just pushing me away from every department I went in because I was like a bad thing. And then I reached for help. I consulted someone I knew and I went to my cousin because I didn't want to start. एक तो मेरी जिंदगी इतनी गोल you've known, no, law से ये, अब कहाँ एक psychiatrist को वहाँ से शुरू करो कि जब मैं छोटा बच्चा था वो नहीं हो रहा था भाई मेरे से. So I went to a cousin who knew my life and everything and I kind of sat and she said I'm the wrong person. But I reached out for help. I, spoke to a counselor and of course you'll get burnt out, but if you want to do something then you'll come back to doing it, no?
And you need to recognize the signs of being
Oh
burnt
my
out.
God, you have to recognize the signs. Otherwise, everyone all signs starts getting burnt out. Bichare, 150 log mere saath were going mad, trying to keep me calm. So that was going on. But yeah, so a lot of people get burnt out there. Thresholds are different.
What next from Elahe?
Oh, very exciting. So season 3 of City of Dreams will release now. We are in delivery mode. And the next thing we're doing is a procedural, which I want to say is one of the first ever being made in India because India just doesn't make procedurals. So it's a procedural on the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi.
Oh my goodness. I think this is the first.
It is the first. It is after the assassination, the entire, how they catch Shivrasan, the mastermind.
Oh, lovely.
So that's what's going on.
Can't wait to watch that.
Yes, absolutely. Right now, we're sitting, if you come to my office, it looks like one morgue. Iski mari hui tasveer, uski mari hui tasveer, this guy blown up, that guy died of poisoning. I'm like, what is this? Please put some happy flowers, little babies, doing something.
Puppies.
Kuch bhi. It's great fun to match Shivrasan, all the look tests are happening, matching Rajiv Gandhi, it's a blast to see it come. So we have this cop world and we have the assassins world and we have the SIT, the Special Investigation Team world. Bahut maza aa raha hai.
Can't wait to watch that.
I know. So thank you very much, Kiran. It was fabulous speaking to you. It doesn't even sound like an interview or a podcast, and that's a great sign of someone who's conducting it.
And with that, it is a wrap on this episode of Chasing Creativity. We were chatting with the fabulous Elahe Hiptoola, and this is Kiran Manral signing out. Follow me on my social media at Kiran Manral everywhere and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, BingePods, and wherever you get your dose of audio content.
Your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is this.
Let's go!
Show up on day 1, work out with us for 30 minutes, feel good right away.
Yo!
Repeat 5 days a week for 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
5 workouts a week.
We're Body, and we call that a body block.
You pick the block and you're going to love the experience.
On week 4, this part is really important. Take the week off. Seriously, we mean it. Rest, go on vacation, or try something new. Maybe some yoga.
Notice you're not holding on to any tension here.
Or a dance class.
Get sexy with it, daddy.
You do you. And then start again.
Be committed to this process.
Choose a new body block each month. Get a new challenge each month. Have fun every day. Avoid burnout.
You're not going to quit on yourself today.
This is how you reach your goals. You in?
There is nothing that we can't do if we work together.
Sign up for your first body block today. Visit body.com for a free trial. That's BODI.com.
Are you ready to get started?